Namaskaram, and welcome to this experience sharing of inner engineering program. This inner engineering I took happened in November of 2011 in Beirut, Lebanon. Ever since I was a child, I've had a strong desire to learn the Arabic language. The real reason behind this desire I have perhaps never understood, but it had happened quite often to me that a certain strong and persistent desire would hit me out of nowhere, which later in life would put me in certain situations or in contact with certain people who would help me in my growth as a human being. With regards to this insatiable appetite of learning Arabic, I was certain that something similar would come to pass. In 2011, at the age of 26, the universe conspired in such a way that I had time and money to dedicate to that ambition. So I decided to go to Lebanon and take my first steps towards materializing this dream of mine. Within 2 or 3 weeks, I noticed a poster in my Arabic Language Institute that said Inner Engineering. It sounded intriguing. I was interested. It had been 2 years at that time, since 2009, that I was going from one book to another, from one online meditation to another, trying to catch glimpses of yoga and meditation, themes which started to interest me more and more. I would start one practice, do it for some time, drop it, pick up something else. I was somehow determined to start some kind of yoga or meditation routine in my life. When I finally stepped into that inner engineering class, I understood that my search was over. Because something in me settled. I understood that somehow my search for a source of an honest, proper, deeply authentic spiritual process was now fulfilled. Also, many years later, I understood that, as I suspected, my reason for learning Arabic had indeed a deeper, hidden layer behind it. I continued my Arabic language pursuit with relative success, but it's the silent language of yoga which I would like to speak about now. I have to confess that I really struggled in the first few days of inner engineering for a variety of reasons. But then the videos in which Sadhguru would expound upon universal truths with such clarity, such poise, things that had taken me decades to figure out, and that for the most part I had never connected together, touched me at my core. Added to that, many other ideas and concepts which I had never thought about or heard about, as well as simple, mind-blowing life advice. This intoxicating cocktail of information left me fantastically and happily confused. I don't want to take away surprises from anyone, so I won't comment more in depth about the inner engineering program itself. I can, however, spend a little more time to elaborate on the immediate post-inner engineering effects, changes I noticed which have propelled me forward in life at an unprecedented pace. I will go over 3 changes which manifested within 2-3 weeks of practicing the inner engineering practices at the required frequency. Firstly, I noticed that the usual colors, sounds, natural or not, seem more pleasant than ever to my eyes and ears. For the first time, even in the midst of traffic, I almost felt it to be equal to being on a calm countryside road. The chaos, the honking, the smell from the exhaust gases, all those seemed to lose their power to get on my nerves. My MP3 player, which earphones were rigorously plugged into my ears for most of my travels at the time, stopped playing such an important role in my life. In fact, I almost completely stopped using it. I virtually completely lost interest to listen to anything other than what was happening right in front of me, then and there, no matter how cacophonic it was. I started being kind of fine, anywhere, anytime. I found this to be a tremendous freedom. Secondly, for the first time in my life, I was working as a freelancer, teaching private language courses. I had students for Italian, Dutch, French, German, and English. So I had to constantly switch from one language to the other, from one class to the next, as well as in my preparation from one class to the other. And add to this my own classes as a student of Arabic and Farsi, the latter which I abandoned after 2 months because the class was geared for native Arabic speakers and I was the only non-native Arabic speaker. So the class was going at a crazy pace which I absolutely couldn't keep up with. Yes, I know I could have thought about this before, but I'm a bit of a madman when it comes to languages. So all in all, I badly needed to find an extra gear within me to manage all these situations. But the list goes on. Add to this irregular earnings and the stress of earning as a freelancer, which is way, way different than being in an employee position, which I had been for most of my jobs in the past. Also the constant moving from one locality to the next. All these things demanded a kind of energy that, frankly speaking, I didn't know whether I could bring it to the table. However, thanks to my total dedication to the inner engineering practices, I found myself with more and more energy, less and less needing to sleep as a means to rest. It seemed almost surreal. Thirdly, I was almost all the time very happy, in a kind of flow state. I was always a tendentially extrovert person with easy friendships, few inhibitions to try new things and meet new people, able to throw myself into situations with little information on which to base my choice. Yet, this was very different still. I now noticed that I didn't even have to go to dinner with friends, need all my language skills, or go out clubbing and drinking. Nothing at all. I was able to experience the same sense of abandon, joy, and intoxication, equal to that or bigger, and without the negative side effects of being hungover and tired the next day. Or sometimes I would just sit with my eyes closed for a little corner in a pub or disco and feel overwhelmed with positive energy and emotion. Even music I could experience so much more profoundly than before. More than that, I'd never thought that I would be able to feel overjoyed or feel states of enormous relaxation by doing absolutely nothing. So I realized that with or without external factors of joy, I could be fine. That was a tremendous shift in my experience of life. Lastly, and related to this, I always thought I was simply a happy being, but now I was experiencing more joy, more abandon, more laughter. I just couldn't get it. How this all just poured out of me, without asking my permission, and in such huge volumes. To put this in perspective, I could say, if I thought happiness and joy was on a 1 to 10 scale, I was mostly at 6 or 7, and able to touch peaks of 8 and sometimes 9. But now it seems much deeper. I couldn't even put a maximum number to it. But let's say I can experience 2 times, 5 times, 10 times the joy and, once again, even in moments without friends, fun, appreciation, love, etc. So to sum up, for a person who has lived for work and studies in Africa, the Middle East, Central and Eastern Europe, who has always attempted to imbibe cultures, languages, and knowledge by osmosis, just these few weeks of a new and profound experiences with the yoga practices within me made all those grand previous achievements on the outside pale in comparison. The sense of belonging, of wanting to feel connected to everyone and everything, It had been completely flipped on its head. Aside from a torchlight, always directed outward, I now seemed to have lit a feeble lamp on the inside as well. This permitted me to start clearing out my own spider webs, dust, and in the process, discover many empty boxes, useless objects, many things to throw out in order to give fresh air and lightness to my interiority, to this new sense of myself which was being born. That's it for now. I've only touched on the first 2-3 weeks after the inner engineering practice, after the inner engineering program. If I would speak about the phase after that, it may sound a little too far-fetched for people. That's how much change happened in my life, like a constant companion, full of joy and wisdom. Not everything has been easy, but handling the ups and downs of life itself has become much more effortless, because I started bouncing back into happiness much faster. I mean, what else to ask for? I'll leave this here now, because even if I would somehow be able to write in a Shakespearean fashion about yoga and meditation, it wouldn't stand the light of personal experience. In other words, that which you, dear viewer, started or about to start to experience. It is thus to this journey of peeling back the layers within you to arrive at the real you, hiding successfully or not inside of you, and uniting the two polarities which, putting aside personal judgment, that I unite my two hands in Namaskar. Happy journey. Namaskaram. Thank you for watching. To see more, please consider this suggested video or this suggested playlist. And if you're curious to learn the amazing classical Hatha Yoga practices structured by Sadhguru that we offer, please see a couple of suggestions right below this video. Last but not least, if you enjoyed this content, consider hitting that subscribe button right there.